on Jim Ballestero. I'm sitting with a really good friend of mine as of today. I think, I know that Gil and I, we're going to have a long-term relationship, aren't we, Gil?
Absolutely.
You know, Gil flew out from San Diego, California to be here today, and we've had a chance to spend literally the whole day together today. So I got to learn a lot about Gil and his background and some of the things that he's accomplished. And he's just really just flabbergasted me, and I just really feel blessed and honored to be able to be with you today. And I do see our future as friends, and of course there'll be business connections, I'm sure, as we go along. But what I want to do today, if you don't mind, just take a few minutes here and kind of share a little bit about your journey to your success, and what seems to be kind of the pattern here in success is that, everybody starts from nowhere, and they start with a vision, and they chase their dreams, and some of us fail along the way. I certainly had my share of them, but we don't give up. And you're certainly one of those fighters, and I just really love your story. And what I'd like to do, if you're okay with this, Gil, it's Gil Ortega, is to share where maybe a little bit about your childhood first, because there's something happens in all of our childhoods that kind of triggers something as we grow up to become who we are.
I had a business teacher in high school, 10th grade. Most 10th graders, from what I'm told, what I've learned is that they don't have entrepreneurship classes available to them. I did in my school, and my dad was always.
Where'd you go to school?
In El Cajon, in San Diego, East San Diego, East County, San Diego, and it's a high school called Valhalla. And I was really fortunate to have this teacher that really impressed upon me that I could own a business, and I learned entrepreneurship in 10th grade. So I was young, impressionable, and it really made an impression on me. My dad had always owned a business, my entire life. So I knew the idea of owning a business through my dad, and my dad had always been very successful and self-made. Totally, just had built a business, and my dad's a body shop owner. Built a really successful body shop, paint and body, for auto cars. And somewhere along the line, my dad had some really bad real estate investments right when I was 14, 15 years old. And right at that age when I was like getting my license.
Your driver's license?
My 16th birthday. And that year was just really, it was tough on my dad and my family. And up to that point, I had always wanted to be an orthodontist. And,
boy, you didn't take that career path. Okay.
So I wanted to be an orthodontist because I simply knew that they made a good living. It was a profession, that I could go to school for and make a good living. I always asked, how much money do they make? And I learned, decent income. And I'm like, okay, I want to be an orthodontist. I don't know why, a kid would want to be, any particular profession, but that was my idea in my head. So I took this class in entrepreneurship, and my dad at that year had essentially had a hard year in real estate and almost lost everything, and our lifestyle totally changed. And my dad's like, son, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay for college for you, and in fact, he goes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any kind of car you want. And it sounds like I grew up in my dad in the car business. I don't want to sound like a spoiled brat growing up, but it was like my dad was in the car business, and he said, whatever kind of car you want, pretty much I can get on host. So I can get you can have whatever kind of car you want, you can have, because he's in the business, and he was well off. He was doing okay. So that changed, and for me, I was like, hey, no worry about it, Dad. I wasn't like I wasn't devastated. It wasn't devastating by no means, but that was the turning point for me. I said, well, okay, I'll get my own car. And I did, and I started a business at the age of 15, and it was the business of throwing parties. I threw a party, and
this almost sounds a little risque. Let me ask you, what kind of parties are you talking about?
I threw a birthday party.
Okay.
And I didn't have any money to throw the party. So I charged. I asked.
You charged for a birthday party?
I charged for entertainment purposes. Yeah, I did. $3, but I had, over 1,000, almost 2,000 people show up to my birthday party. Yeah.
This is your birthday party. You charged $3, and you had almost 1,000 people come.
Over 1,000 people, yeah. And
oh my God!
At 15 years old, going to be 16 on my 16th birthday, it was a lot of money. And so what that created was this spree of parties, hundreds and hundreds of parties over a 12-year period of time. That turned into concerts, and
yeah, you told me you became a promoter.
It was my profession. So the music business was the area of focus for me, dealing with entertainment management and production was what that one party turned me into, and having a great entrepreneurship teacher. So, I was a prime time target for lots of various opportunities, I was always asked to join various network marketing companies and such, and I'd always, I'm open to taking a look at anything. I think you always got to take a look. So early on, 18, I'd gotten into my first direct sales company. Always did that part-time while I had my production company. I was selling cell phones at my events. I was selling, I had booths. I didn't sell them, but I had the booths there that, I was doing multiple channel sales, right?
So you're one of those guys. I mean, you're looking at ways to maximize every moment of your time. And
totally right.
wow.
if you have an opportunity to make an event, you want to see where, what areas are there for sponsorships. The guy that thought of selling advertisement on your placemat at your diner,
yeah.
I applaud that guy, right? The guy that sells ads.
I thought you were saying you were the guy.
I've done that before, right? I mean, the guy that sells ads in the menu at the Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
Brilliant, right? I mean, those are the kinds of opportunities that I'm always looking for, and I think it's not around every corner, but when you look, you sometimes are lucky and you find them.
Well, the way I look at what you're saying here is I think that everything that we've ever seen or experienced, somebody came up with that idea, and somebody had the courage to pursue it and make it happen.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how many times either I've thought of it or I've talked to someone and said, dang, I thought of that a long time ago, man. I wish I'd have done something with it. Well, somebody thought of it and somebody did.
Yep. And that's one of actually my new businesses with my wife. It's a company called We Get It Made, and we make things. It's her business. I just help her on the marketing, but we make anything that you can imagine overseas. We manufacture. She's fluent in 5 languages, Chinese being one of them, and she makes things that people think up, ideas, anything that you can imagine, small order stuff, and it's fantastic because I get to market a lot of those things.
That's cool. That's cool.
So I'd say my biggest turning point was my dad losing big, and then later on in years, me losing big. That was my big turning point, personally.
And I want to talk about that because I think that's important, because obviously you've changed directions in your life and so forth, and that had obviously to do with the failures that took place. But
yeah.
When your dad was in a position where his finances had reversed, what were you thinking then? Were you thinking that, okay, well, I need to take care of myself?
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna count on my dad to have to carry the load on me. So, I thought I didn't go to college right away. I went to a community college, and then I went to an extension college at UCLA. I was a film student. I really didn't know what I wanted to do because I was already in business making a good living right out of high school. I was making 6 figures doing fun. It was just a lifestyle fun that paid me well to do fun things, and put on big events and have fun. And so I learned. What was important is I studied marketing because I figured I was in promotion. I had to study marketing.
Something that you said to me earlier is you do a lot of reading.
Tons of reading. Yeah.
And there's power in knowledge. When you think about knowledge, if you don't know it and somebody else does, then they're going to have the upper hand on you. Is that right?
Absolutely. Great marketing comes from great marketers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you study them, you can model them.
Right.
Machines just allow us to aim better.
Right.
So, you know, if you take technology and you apply it to great marketing, you can aim better. You can target your market better and faster. And I always say if you can learn to fail faster, you're going to succeed way sooner.
Well, I've never heard it said like that, but I have to agree. I have to agree. So, okay, at some point, something happened in your promotion business, or
I just eventually
something?
outgrew it. I
Okay.
outgrew the lifestyle, got into the internet, got into the lead business.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Was introduced, like I said, early on to direct sales, the network marketing industry.
And you did the lead business the old-fashioned way. You picked up the phone and made the phone call. I mean, you were a true pioneer.
Well, I mean, telemarketing is, you know, the old school way of doing a lead on the phone and profiling it. So I started on with a telemarketing based lead company. So just calling people, building rapport, interviewing people.
Now, wait a minute. Let's talk about this for a second. You started as a one-man show, right?
One-man show. Yeah.
Now, when you started that, what got you to do that particular type of business?
Because that's what I was doing for network marketing for myself, for my own business. And then
okay. So you're getting your own leads.
I was generating my own leads just by calling them.
Okay.
And that company was in transition, got sold, and I really didn't kind of go with that whole process. So I was out of that business, and I put a lot of, time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears into that. And so I was a little bit, not looking forward to going into my next network marketing company at that point in time. So I said, I'm really good at generating leads myself on the phone, so I'm going to offer that service to other companies, distributors. And I did that, and just for the reason that that's what I knew I could do well. And I got somebody to, learn from me, and then a couple more people, and then I would go sell what I taught them to do, and I'd get a whole, until I had 100 telemarketers doing this, and then the internet came along.
But this is amazing. I mean, you say it so quickly as if it was no big deal. I mean, you were the telemarketer, and then you got enough business where you could afford to hire somebody.
Right.
So then you trained that one person, and then you got enough business beyond that one person that you could hire a second one, and eventually you got to a telemarketing company of 100 telemarketers making phone calls, developing relationships to create leads for other people to purchase. This is a big deal. And you say it so lightly, I'm thinking, wait a minute. I mean, to get to that point, you paid a price to get there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean...
Lots of no's on the phone.
Lots of no's on the phone, but you even told me in our conversation that you got so busy that you were working till 2 in the morning because even though you got the leads, you still had to transfer the leads, and you had to make sure that you were able to get them to your customers. I mean, it was overwhelming.
It was. Absolutely. But, any business that I've ever had success in, you just have to put whatever time required, which is normally all your time, and do it. I read the book E-Myth, Michael Gerber, phenomenal book, and it changed my thinking to systems. Think about building a smarter system to allow for the business to operate even without me. So that's the way I look at building a company or any business endeavor, whether it's just a project or a company. It's like systemizing it so I don't have to be tied to it for it to be successful.
What motivates you to work so hard and to just fight for your visions?
Time freedom. I mean, there's no better thing to fight for than to be able to own your time, spend it how you choose, with who you choose, where you choose, and that's like the ultimate thing. It's not about the amount of money. It's about having a certain kind of lifestyle, whatever you choose, and spend it how you choose.
But to get there, you sacrifice time.
Right. But so it's like compound interest in money. It's like you gotta put like sometimes over like all your time to have like a year I always say, gosh, I don't even remember how it goes, but I used to say this. I go, would you dedicate an entire year to get another year that you could spend anyway? So would you work every single day, put your work as your priority, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even above your family. It's tough, right? Put your work first for an entire year so that the next entire year, you can spend whichever way you chose and have the same income. Would you do that? I ask that to some people, and they say no.
Mm-hmm.
They're all about living in the present, and it's a choice, and it's all relative to how you look at things. And I go, how about a year for 2 years? Some people still say no. And I go, how about 1 year for 3 years, any way you want? I still have people say no. You know, for me, I'd do a year for a year, easy. I mean, you know, a year, but to have it compounded where you can spend a couple of years as you choose and have an income, you know, so have a business that is paying you for, you know, because that is the ultimate dream for me, to be able to spend it any way I choose, wherever I choose.
Have you been self-employed the whole time since you?
I've had more jobs than I can count. I've had jobs. I've owned clothing companies. I've owned surfboard companies. I've owned.
Wow, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me this.
I've had more jobs to support. I worked at Home Depot, or it was a version of Home Depot. It was called the Home Club. When I was in my teens, making $250 an hour just so I could pay $200 an hour to an attorney to trademark something, you know, a brand, like a logo for a clothing company.
Did you just say you were making $250 an hour?
$250 a week, excuse me.
$250 a week, okay. I was going to say, that's a pretty good job.
Yeah, that to pay the attorney for, you know, $250 an hour. So work a whole week to pay an attorney.
Who makes $250 an hour?
Yeah, so I had to have a job sometimes, parties, and then throw parties in between that time. And once the party business was, like, you know, through my early 20s, I didn't have to have a job. So in my teens, I had so many jobs that I couldn't keep track of them because I had to have enough money to get to the next party. You know, to produce the flyers, or, you know, to buy sound, like DJ equipment or something, you know.
Got it. I got it.
So it was always, I had to have a lot of jobs, but through my 20s, it was self-employed.
You're just like, whatever it takes, it doesn't matter. You're just going to do it.
Well, yeah, you know, within reason.
Well, yeah. I understand that. So, okay, you talked about having an experience of going through failure. You want to talk about that? It's important to the listener.
Okay, so after my initial success, I had a company that I invested in and became a partner, and it was a software company, and I had you know, a .com kind of tech company, and I had a big rise, you know, just like a lot of the success stories that you hear, where we became paper millionaires, and huge energy rush for 2 years, and lost everything that I had made in a previous company and invested in this technology company. And it was my first experience with a tech company, and it was from beginning of 99 to the end of 2000. And it was that ride that essentially taught me the internet. I cut my teeth in technology, and I learned so much, but also lost everything that I owned that didn't fit in my car. And
so you really did lose everything.
I lost everything. Even had to pawn my computer due to, you know, I was a .com casualty. But I didn't feel bad because there were so many other people in that same boat, and I'm like, hey, you know, it's like these are like tough. It felt bad at the time, but I'm cup half full. I'm an optimist, and there's no two ways about it. I look at it like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out and be okay. I can go get a job doing something and make a living. So I'm thankful for that, you know, that I'm not like disabled and I can't I got bad eyes and I was worried about that, but it's like, I'm able to work and make a living. So I was able to get my way to Las Vegas and start over. And that's where I started my new company about a year and a half later, and had a job in the travel industry of all industries, right up to the point when 9/11 came around.
Oh, man.
Kind of chilled out the travel industry. So I was,
You're
without
a casualty
a job.
now.
Casualty again.
Of the travel industry.
And just, it dawned on me to start another lead company. I'd sold my other lead company, successfully, and this new lead company was not going to be telemarketing. It wasn't going to be a telemarketing-based company. It was going to be an internet-based company, and I'd learned enough about the internet that I gave it a go. I started with $50, got a template website, and I was on my way.
$50. You started a business for $50.
$50, template website. Yep.
Oh my God! And what happened?
I grew the business and eventually sold that business in 2007, and became very successful. And really, I don't.
Now that business did millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That you sold. That's pretty. You started that company with $50.
$50.
This is impressive.
I mean, it's not. I got $50 now, and I'm trying to duplicate it. So, things have changed a bit, but that's the thing. It's like the market changes. There's windows of opportunity. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's a huge window of opportunity. Several unique windows of opportunity in our marketplace, even though it's a tough, it's a tough time in the economy. Mm-hmm. But there are opportunities to build successful businesses right now.
Well, I'm totally a believer in that. I mean, I have both types of friends, that ones that talk about opportunity is all around us, and I have those that are gloom and doom.
Right.
And I think partly because they've certainly been affected by the economy the way it is right now, and then all the negative input that comes off the media, the television and the newspaper and so on and so forth. But I think some of my best friends have really, they've claimed that this is their opportunity. This is their time for victory. And I would rather gravitate to that direction.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would rather be totally positive about this, economy. It's hard to do. It's hard to be in the muck of, negativity and still come out as an optimist and say, hey, we're gonna persevere. We're gonna see through this and help people along the way. I mean, that's the goal. For me, I know that if I was to lose it all, God forbid that it happens again to me or to anybody I know, but it's something that does and can happen.
Sure.
Whether it be, just a bad business decision or something catastrophic in health or somebody's life, whatever. It can happen to anybody, right?
Well, like what happened to you in the travel thing, I mean, who was to know that 9/11 was going to happen?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, every day is like playing Russian roulette, so I understand that.
So, I mean, there's so much opportunity out there. I think people need to just, I'd like to pass along a gift that somebody gave me. Somebody gave me a gift, and it's kind of it's a little bit of a practiced, learned thing that you can do, and learn how to spot opportunities. Learn to spot things. Be more aware. And a friend of mine, his name's Dave Austin. He's a author, speaker, coach, and he taught me a process, one of his processes. And if you go out into your backyard at your home, okay, and you sit there for 30 days, you do this over a 30-day period, you just take 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes max in your backyard, sit in the same place, and the first time you sit down in your backyard, which would be a very familiar place for you, it's your backyard.
Yeah.
Sit back there and take a notebook with you and journal, and just write down everything you see.
So your surroundings?
Write down your surroundings.
Okay.
And keep that list. And each day, each new day for that 30-day period, try to sit there, same time, same place, and see what new things you see. Just look at what's changed. Try to document something new that you didn't see last time. And you do this.
How long are you doing this for? A couple minutes?
No, you do this for 10, 20 minutes max. You just sit there and absorb. It's kind of like a meditation practice,
Right.
but kind of like you're not meditating. You're kind of like just trying to be in that place and see what has changed.
Okay.
And it's hard. Let me tell you, it gets really hard after just a few days, because if you've written everything that you see and you've journaled it and you got this big list of everything from your pets to your furniture to the little nicks, and you're like, it becomes difficult. So the task is to just really see that moment and see the little things that are around you. And if you kind of pull back on that and you look at that in how would that help you in your life is, you could be talking to somebody and just one thing that they say leads you down a path to a question. Just one question. You want the right answer?
Mm-hmm.
You got to ask the right question, right?
Correct.
And if you don't know what the right question is, you're not going to get the right answer. So hearing somebody say one thing that ultimately leads to some new form of business, some new partnership, finding the love of your life, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities that are just not right there on the surface, but they're like right around the corner. They're like in some little nugget of what somebody said or what is something right around you. I think that's really what I've had the fortune of, is being able to spot certain things, certain opportunities, and dig a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
and find a win-win, a cooperative type of opportunity to be part of. And so that doing those kinds of practices are not the only way to muster up those kinds of skills in your life, or those those abilities, but they're helpful. If you become conscious of them, it's like a really great thing to be able to do.
Well, I think what you just said is pretty powerful. And one of the things that I have either practiced on purpose or accidentally, I'm not really sure, but it's become a major part of my life. Today, I literally picked you up at 9:30 this morning. Actually, your plane came in a few minutes early. Thankfully, I made it to the airport in time. So we're spending literally the whole day. You're going home tonight at 9:45. So, we're literally spending a 12-hour day together.
That's right.
And I have picked up a handful of nuggets that have affected my life already, because I believe I learn more by listening than trying to tell.
Right.
And today you've definitely blessed me with some knowledge that I did not have, and I'm going to use it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
That's cool. We're running out of time here, but it's really always a treat to have somebody who has had to scratch and claw their way to success. And I think the better stories, to be honest with you, are the ones that it wasn't a gravy train. You had to see failure along the way, because then you're more realistic. I used to hate being around people that could they could read something and recite it verbatim, or they have a photographic memory.
I'm dyslexic as well. I honestly, I don't know if I am. I think I might be a little bit, because I invert numbers, but and I'm bad at math. So, I wasn't a great student. That's all I mean. I used to have to work my butt off to be, on the A-B side of grades. I was like a C+ student at best. And I was great at throwing parties and, doing...
But it sounds like you always excelled at the things you liked.
Well, they say, pursue your passions, right? So that's hopefully, I hope anybody would do, at least try.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, I really get a lot more out of somebody who has had to pay a price, because the appreciation level goes through the roof. We're going to wrap this up, and I would love to just have you kind of share one last thought that might inspire someone to stay focused on their goals and dreams and not to give up.
Wow. I think that's probably the single largest thing that I could say distinguishes somebody from being successful or not. And it's in a way cliche, but I had somebody instant message me the other day, and I said, he was thanking me for kind of telling him, give it 90 days. I was telling him to give it 90 days, because he was like trying some strategies for building traffic online, and whatever kind of success you're looking for. It's all relative, but this is the crucial thing here. It's like right when you're at the point when you're going to give up, whether it's training for some athletic event, or it's training how to build your business, or getting traffic to a website. If things aren't working, you're losing money, you're losing your mind, you're losing your patience, you're just you're at that point. That's when that whatever it takes to stick through is what makes it happen for you. And I'll give you a scenario. I don't know, normally I do this on a whiteboard, but imagine if this right here is rock bottom.
Okay.
This would be, rock bottom might be different for everybody. Let's say rock bottom for this example is being homeless and having nothing.
Okay.
Okay? And right here is average American life that is right in the middle.
Okay.
And up here at the top is everything that you could imagine. It's relative, but it's your wildest dreams to an individual. So the middle, rock bottom, wildest dreams. So everybody that's right here in the middle has, whatever it takes to stay in that zone. When people start to dip down here and go from average American household life to nothing, what we call rock bottom, most people, not everybody, but most people muster everything they can to not go here.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So they'll find a way, they'll just find a way to get back to the middle.
Okay.
The energy that it takes, the focus, the whatever you have to muster, the energy that it takes to not go here is the same energy that it takes to go from the middle to right here. So it's just funny or weird why people just will only summons it when it's right here, when you're
losing everything.
When you're losing everything, instead of right here, summons it to right here. Because it's the same energy, it's the same focus, it takes the same whatever you have attitude.
Well, and again, we're running out of time here, but I think there's this whole belief mechanism that's being dealt with in each person. So if they don't believe that they can get from here to here, they're not going to put that energy.
Right.
And I read a book by Robert Schuller once. It's called Peak to Peak. And what he talked about in the book was, he says that most people can only see a certain height in terms of their goals. So once they get to this place, then they can see themselves getting to another level. But what happens with a lot of people, since they don't see that, they don't even try to get there.
Right.
Okay. And so they just stay where they're the comfort zone. And when that comfort zone gets uncomfortable, and if they are going crashing and burning, then you're right. They're going to summon the energy that it would take to at least get back to that comfort zone. But I found for myself, my comfort zone is achieving. I can't sit still. I can't settle for. And I don't mean that settle for money, a mediocre lifestyle. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that I have found my comfort zone is in achieving. And I think that until people realize the feeling of achievement,
right,
they don't know how good it is.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And talking to you all day today and spending the time with you, and I know that you're that kind of guy. I mean, you're hungry to do more.
Totally.
To be more,
To be more,
do
contribute more, to
contribute
just,
more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's awesome. And I know, by the way, I've been watching your heart all day, and I know that you care about people. And I've picked up on that throughout the day, and I really like that about you. So I just want to thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate it.